Hey there, it's Ryan, and in this video, I'm going to break down step by step exactly how I built links to our website using a tactic called the moving man method. Once you watch this video, you'll be able to implement it yourself or show a contractor or employee how to do it for you. The moving man method is a link building tactic popularized by SEO expert Brian Dean. Brian has a ton of great SEO advice and tactics if you're into this, so definitely check out his blog, backlinko.com. The idea behind the moving man method is pretty simple. First thing you do is you find a page that is either broken, doesn't work anymore, or it's been redirected, or something's going on with it. Then you find sites that are linking to that broken site or that redirected site. Then you just email the people who manage that page and tell them that there's a link on their page that is broken and suggest a page that's more updated, which is yours. You're actually doing people a favor, which they respond to pretty well. So the psychology behind this technique is pretty interesting, and it was compelling to me when I saw this. But the issue that I had with it is nothing came to mind of a site that was broken or down or been rebranded. So I didn't really take action on it right away until I saw this. So I came across this tweet, and what had happened is KISSmetrics, which is another company in the analytics space, sold their domain to Neil Patel, who was the former founder. And what Neil is doing is redirecting all of the traffic from the old KISSmetrics domain to his site. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to try out the moving man method. As I got into this, I figured out that there are ways to find sites that are old or outdated without just stumbling across it like I did, and we'll get into that. Now, one thing that Brian Dean does different, and I actually think it's a better technique, is he tries to link to specific content on his page. So he's finding sites that are mentioning things that he talks about and then telling them that he has a better resource on his page. What I wanted to do, just because it was quicker for this experiment, and I thought there's a lot of opportunity out there, is just find places that mentioned KISSmetrics and other analytics tools on a page like this. So I just wanted to reach out and say, KISSmetrics is redirecting your traffic. Here's our tool 10. It's kind of a lazy way to do it, but I thought it would be kind of an easier way than developing content and kind of going through that process just to see if people will actually link to our site. Now, like I said, I stumbled across this opportunity with KISSmetrics, but you can proactively find sites that are down. The simplest thing, if you have a tool or if you have a site that is often mentioned with a bunch of other sites, you can just Google the biggest company or the most widely used service. For us, it might be Google Analytics alternatives. And if I go through here, I'll see these lists that list all these different alternatives. And if you click into any of these, you'll see a bunch of other analytics tools. So one thing you can do is just compile this list and just see which ones are still active. Obviously, if the page is new, a lot of those are still going to be active. So you're going to have to filter through a lot. So one of the things that you can do is go over here to Google with tools and limit the results by time. So I'll do a custom range here, and I'll change this from 2010 to, let's say, 2014. So this is the same search, but it's just limiting this date to older posts. So if you click into these, you'll find tools that are not being used or out of business much more frequently just because the post is older. Now, another thing that you can do if your business is listed in a directory that's updated frequently, you can use that to find old sites too. So in our case, we have Capterra. There's a page on Capterra that features web analytics tools. Because Capterra updates their site frequently and they have a ton of stuff on here, this is a good way to find all the different analytics tools in our space. So I can scroll through there and see that. But again, we want to find things that are out of business. So take that page and then you can put it into the Wayback Machine. So I'll just paste that page into the Wayback Machine, and I can see that the Wayback Machine captured some of the page from 2015. So if I go and look at one of those pages, I can see all the tools that they had on the page in 2015. So now all I need to do is compare the old sites from 2015 to the sites that are on there today, and any of the ones that are not on there today presumably have gone out of business. Now, if you have a large list of sites that are similar to yours but haven't gone out of business or changed in any way, another thing that you can do is upload that big list into a monitoring service like Uptime Robot. If you have, say, over 60 companies that you're wanting to monitor and the average lifespan is 5 years, so which is 60 months, then about every month you should have someone go down. It's going to vary, obviously, it's not going to be every single month, but I think you'll be surprised at how often that happens. Now, once you have your list, you're going to want to find the backlinks. So I'm in Ahrefs, and I'm going to Site Explorer, and I'll just type in the domain. Then I'm going to click Backlinks. And what this shows me is all the backlinks to our target site, in this case, KISSmetrics. So as you can see, there's a lot of links here, 1.2 million links. So we're going to try to narrow that down a bit. I'm going to select the link type, do follow. Next, I'll choose platform as blogs, so that you get the links from blog posts. Language, I'm going to choose English. And you can further narrow it down based on the traffic, but I'm going to skip that right now. And I'm going to also choose group similar links. And what this does is it kicks out links that are maybe tag pages or category pages or author pages that basically link to the same thing. It does a good job of giving you just the most important link from the blog post. And then I'm just going to export this list. Now, once you download this spreadsheet, you'll see that you have a ton of data to work with. So you're going to want to narrow down some of these links based on the criteria that makes sense for your business. With this number of links, the first thing that you're going to want to do is do something that's automatic so that you don't have to look at thousands of links. That wouldn't be practical. Ahrefs does a nice job of giving you different data points that indicate some sort of quality for the site linking to your target. So domain rating, URL rating, number of referring domains, traffic, keywords. They give you all these great data points. And so you can sort by those things and just delete the links that don't meet your criteria. Another thing you can look at for filtering purposes is information about the link itself. This link URL, if you click on any of these cells, you'll see exactly which link these backlinks are going to. If you notice, this is going to a blog post and it's visual content to use in your marketing campaign. For what we're doing, this is not going to be relevant because the link is going to a blog post and it's about something that we don't have any information on. You can do a few things to filter this out. I could just filter out, say, all blog posts, for example, and just look for links to the root domain. Or I can also filter out based on some of the words in here. If the company has a lot of links to certain types of content, you can filter out words in the link URL. So for example, I might filter out visual content or heat map or some other topic that we don't have any content on. You can do the same thing for data about the backlink as well. So you can look at the URL of the referring page, the referring page's title. In this example, best times to post on social media, that might not be relevant. And so you can kind of scroll through here and just find different themes that you think are not going to be good for you and filter those out. What I do is I usually just create a couple columns here and I come up with a word that I want to filter out. So let's say it's social media or heat map or something like that. Then what I do is paste this formula that I have for Excel. I'm not going to go into details of what this formula is all about. I'm going to bore you to death, but what this is doing is basically looking up at this header, this H1 cell, and it's seeing if that text is in this row, this F2 or any of those cells. What it's going to do is it's going to mark it with a 1 if it exists or a 0 if it does not exist. So if it's not in there, it's a 0, and when it does show up, you'll see these 1s here. And then I just drag that all the way down to the bottom, and then I can sort the rows to delete any words that I come up with that I want to kick out. So I could do the same thing for heat map, and I could come up with a bunch of different words out here to filter things out. You can also include words instead of exclude them using the same logic. And you can do this for the referring page title, the referring page URL. You could even do it for the link URL, the link anchor text, the text right before the anchor text or after the anchor text. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this to filter this data to refine exactly what kind of links that you want. Another thing that you can do that's automatic to filter out domains is load all these referring page URLs up into a scraper and look for words on the page that either qualify or disqualify that page. So in our example, what we were looking for was a post that listed KISSmetrics along with other analytics tools like, say, Google Analytics. And so what we did is we uploaded this list and looked for pages only that mentioned 1 or 2 or 3 of those other tools. When we did that, we would know that those were pages that listed several other tools, which is the page that we wanted in this example. I'm not going to go into the details of scraping, but if you want to know how to do that, just send me an email and I will send you a video on how we do the scraping. Now, once you do that, once you've filtered out all your links and done a pretty good job, you're still going to have to look at these manually or have someone do it. And here's a few examples of bad sites that we didn't want to reach out to. So this one is not business related. The site's not updated. There's broken images. This one, there's no content on the page. This one is not in English, and it's an anime site, so it's not business related. This one is down and not found. This is not a blog post. Now, this article for us is not good because it's just reviewing one particular competing tool. It's very hard for us to ask them to replace the entire post with us, whereas a list of tools, they can just swap out the link. Here's a forum site. We can't do anything with that. This is off topic. So again, we might be able to loop that back through one of our filters in Excel or through our scraper. This site is broken. It's probably, the site is not maintained, so it's probably not worth reaching out to. And those are just a few examples of bad sites that you can instruct someone else to do that and go through that, go through those criteria. Make sure that the sites you're reaching out to actually are a good fit for you. One step that I think is worth doing is that when you send your outreach email is to include a screenshot of the page with an arrow pointing to the link of where the link is. There's a few reasons for this. It avoids confusion. You're just showing people which link you're talking about. It proves that you're a person and you actually saw the page. And when you attach an image to your email, in a lot of inboxes, that image will show up as a thumbnail. So your email is going to draw more attention and get clicked on and opened more. So while taking screenshots of every page is a lot of work, I think it's worth the effort with the increase in response rate. Okay, so let me show you how to do this as quickly as possible. The first thing you want to do is select all the links to the pages you want to look at. And once you do that, you just copy and paste those links into a site called openallurls.com. And what this does is it just takes those links and it opens several browser tabs at once so that you don't have to manually do it. And then once all those are open, the thing that really speeds up this process is using keyboard shortcuts. So to find the link target, you just do Command F and then type in the first few letters of the target. So KISS, and you'll spot the link right away. And the next thing you want to do is just copy and paste a portion of the URL, not the www or the .com, but just the main portion of the URL, which is going to be the file name we'll use for the image. So just copy that. Then I'm going to pull out the window into a separate window so that the person doesn't see all the browser tabs. And I'm using a screenshot tool called Annotate for the Mac. There's other ones out there, but what I like about Annotate is it has these nice shortcuts. Shift Command 6 lets me take a quick screenshot. And then once I have that screenshot, it's really easy to draw an arrow and just click Command S, which will save the file. And then I just paste that name, in this case, Big Star Copywriting, as the file name. And I just repeat that process over and over again. And as you kind of get into the flow, you can do this very quickly. It still does take some time, but you or someone else can get into the rhythm and do quite a few of these. I think in an hour, someone could do about 100 of these. And here it is. Here's the process just sped up just to kind of show you how you can get into a flow of doing it. The next thing you want to do is find the author's name. Usually this is pretty easy. It's usually their name is just at the top or the bottom of the article, and it's not a big deal to find it. But in addition to finding the author, I recommend also finding the marketing person if it's a larger company. Sometimes that could be a content manager or VP of marketing or something like some title like that. And if it's a small enough company, the founder as well. The reason for that is that a lot of times these authors won't be at the company anymore. So you want to make sure to email the right person. So if the author's not there, I think the next line is the marketing person and then the founder if it's a small company. Finding the marketing person or the founder is usually not too hard. Google usually turns up an about page or a team page where you can find them. And if that doesn't work, you can always use LinkedIn and just search for the company and scroll through to find the right employee. I wanted to show you how to do the process, but I highly recommend going to Upwork or getting a freelancer to do this. They'll have the tools to do it, and they'll have more experience, and they'll just be a lot faster. And I think you'll find it pretty cost effective. Once you have the person's name, it's pretty easy to find the email address. There are a few services, voilanorbert.com, hunter.io, and anymailfinder.com that lets you just plug in their first name and the last name, and obviously you have the domain. You just put in those pieces of information here, and it'll spit out an email address when they have it. And you can also upload a list of names and domains, and it'll create a list for you of all the email addresses. If you're using a freelancer to find the names, also ask them if they can find the email addresses as well, because they usually use tools like this when they find names. Okay, let's take a look at the email template. I'm using outreach.io, but you can also use reply.io to send it, or bluetick.io. All these software tools are designed to send templated emails where you can upload a list of contacts and it'll send out a templated email. This email template was taken from Brian Dean's post. Thank you, Brian. I made a couple small tweaks to it, but most of it is Brian's, and it's a very effective email. And I just want to break down some of the components here. First is the subject. I like to keep it short and a little bit vague so that it gets their attention. So it's just your post. In the opening line, I try to get right to the point and I link to their specific post, which makes it relevant to them and demonstrates that it's not a blanket template that I sent to everyone. And then I say, I'm not sure if you've heard, and what that does is link to a tweet where someone talks about this. I think that demonstrating that other people are talking about this provides a little extra credibility in what you're explaining to them. Then I say they're redirecting all their traffic, and then I get right to the point and say you may want to remove their link. Here's a screenshot of where the link is on your page. This is why I went to all that trouble of taking the screenshots. They'll definitely pay attention to that because it's an image of their page. I say I also thought you'd want to know about our company, where I link to our website. And then I throw in this little convenient, which is just a lighthearted way to say, I know you're doing me a favor. I realize I'm asking you for something. And then I put a little sentence in here about what we do. I don't get too long-winded how awesome we are. They don't really care that much. We just wanted to show why our link is worth being in their page. And then I say, might make a nice addition to your page. And then either way, keep up the nice work. I think that last line is smart because it gives them an out. Rather than being pushy and demanding, you're saying it's okay if you don't do this. I think the psychology there makes it more likely that they actually will help you out. Now let's go over how to upload the data and send the emails. So I organized the spreadsheet like this. I just have the blog link, first name, last name, email, and then tags. I added the person's title just so I know when they respond who they are. And then I have this wave_1. I send the emails out in waves. So if you have 2 or 3 people at a company, I don't want to send all those folks the same email on the same day. So I send out wave 1 to the first person, wave 2 to the second person, and so on. And when you get a response back, just remember to remove the other people at the company so that you're not annoying folks at the company after they've agreed to help you. In your email software, you just upload the file. Here I'm using Outreach, but again, you can use reply.io or bluetick.io. And then what your email software will do is map the columns to these different fields. So that way that the link gets populated in the right spot, the first name, last name gets populated in the right spot, and the email gets sent out. Once you have all the contacts uploaded, just navigate to where all those contacts are. Here I can actually just click on the upload and it shows all those contacts that I uploaded. You may do it by tag or something else in the software. And because I have a unique screenshot for each contact, I actually need to populate each email and drag the image into the email to send it. You may figure out a way to do this automatically, or maybe your software is a little bit different where you don't have to do this step. But I will show you the workflow that I used just so that it goes faster if you do it yourself or you have a freelancer do it for you. So I just pulled up the file folder that had all the screenshots in it. And with Mac, you can do a split screen so that you have your email software on one side and your screenshot files on the other screen. Then I just click send the email. And when I get to the spot where the screenshot goes, I just toggle over to the other screen. I start typing the name of the file, which is the domain name, and it'll pop up and then you can just drag it over, hit send, and repeat the process over and over again. And once you get into the rhythm, you can go pretty quickly with this. Okay, now the fun part. Once you've sent out the email, you just sit back and let the responses come in. This first one, they updated the link and then they said they'd check out the product, which was nice. I didn't expect this to be a lead generation situation, but we did get signups out of this. Not only did they get the link swapped out in this response, but also I was on a podcast, struck up a really great conversation and formed a solid connection. A lot of times people are going to respond back with a request like write up a description or something like that. Be prepared for that. Have something ready to go because you want to jump on this quickly. I did lose a couple things where people got busy and they said they were going to do it and I took too long to respond and I never heard back from them. Another good response. And again, I got a link swapped out and connection on LinkedIn. That happened quite a bit. I got quite a few connection requests from LinkedIn. So this was a great experiment. Thank you, Brian, for laying this all out. This was successful. We want to revisit this a little bit later as we build our content and maybe try some different angles, maybe link to some content and do something that's a little more strategic. But this technique does work. If I forgot something or I didn't explain something well or you figure out something better, send me an email and I'll do my best to clarify. And if you figure out a way to improve this process, just let me know, and I'd be happy to update the blog or work it into future content if it makes sense, and of course give you a link. Thanks so much for watching.